themselves shall make glad the city of God, flowing to the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. Again, you can refer to the earlier parts of this series to get more detail to get to this point. We talked about the river, and we went on a search. We're on a search for the river. We followed its stream. We see that the stream is still flowing. It's flowing to its ultimate destination, which is the city of God, wherein is located the tabernacle of the Most High. We saw the river's beginning. It began in the place that was recognized as Ezekiel's temple, which we looked at, have been investigating in this series, chapter 47, verses 1 through 12. We identified the fact that the river is flowing eastward. We mentioned why it's flowing eastward and what eastward represented. We also talked about the person that was sent by God to show Ezekiel what was seen in that chapter, had Ezekiel to step forward from that river and go out 1,000 cubits, and he went out 1,000 cubits. The messenger from God said, measure the depth of it, and Ezekiel said it was ankle deep. He weighed it out a second 1,000 for 2,000 cubits, measured it. It was knee deep. You can go to the early parts of the series to see what that was implying. He measured out a third 1,000. It was 3,000 cubits, and he said, now this one is loins deep. And then he measured out, as he was instructed, another 1,000 for a total of 4,000 cubits. He was overwhelmed by the rivers. He described it as a river that couldn't be passed over, waters that were risen to swim in, a river that could not be passed over. So as far as that river was flowing in an eastward direction from its beginning point, the river was getting deeper and deeper until it got to the point where Ezekiel is saying, I can't swim in it. We talked about the fact that river, and we shared with you in the early parts of this series, that river represented the gospel's message. We represented it flowed eastward, and that's why in the previous studies it's flowing eastward toward God's dwelling place. It's going to ultimately end there. The waters became such turbulence, etc., and its depth till it couldn't be passed over, that Ezekiel was taken by the messenger to the shore. Ezekiel said in verse number 6 of Ezekiel 47, and he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen this? Seen what? Everything from its starting point out 4,000 cubits. And so he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. It was when Ezekiel got to the shore that he looked forward past the 4,000 cubits. We know that the cubits represented years. The river is still flowing, so Ezekiel is looking from where he is toward the direction that we're in, because as we mentioned, the river is flowing past us as its flow still continues to its ultimate destination in an eastward direction. And Ezekiel sees on the bank of the river very many trees on the one side and on the other. Ezekiel saw that the further the river flowed past the 4,000th cubit eastward, it's still flowing. It flowed past you. It's flowing to an ever-brightening day, brightened day, and the more it flows, the more the abundance of the trees. 4,000 cubits out and beyond, there was vegetation. Trees were everywhere along the shore, so that the waters even touched the shoreline, and everything it touched was healed. Everything, direction it flowed in and touched was healed. Everything and everywhere that the waters touched, everything that it touched lived. Everything that it touched were healed. Everything that it touched became more vibrant. And then we began to, last time we were together, delve further into this water's continual flow to show that it was still flowing and that it was healing as it flowed. And we also identified that Ezekiel was told there was something in the waters that needed the healing. And we talked about what was in the flow of the waters. What did we say? Fish. And if there's fish, you also need what? You need something to catch the fish. The waters flowed beyond the Jewish nation. It flowed into the Great Sea. The Great Sea is recognized as the Mediterranean. Then that means it's flowing out, and it's flowing out in the Gentile direction, and it was the fishermen that were the streams that would take that river's flow message, which was the gospel, which we said. The river is the message or the gospel of grace. The streams are the journeys of the fishermen, and you're a stream too.